From the station that made country music famous, 650 AM WSM, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Hi, it's Charlie Mattles, and in this episode, we sit down with Charlie Worsham. Charlie's been a frequent guest throughout the years, and we always love having him in studio. This was recorded March the 9th, the Monday in 2020. He would be joined in studio by Richard Casper, co-founder and executive director of CreatiVets. They would talk about helping wounded warriors heal through music and the arts. Fascinating stuff. Hope you enjoy our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast with Charlie Worsham and...
Well, good morning and welcome to Coffee, Country, and Cody.
So good to be here with y'all. I love the new, I'd say, digs. It's the same digs, but y'all got a makeover. It's very cool.
And tongue-in-cheek, but you almost got one in East Nashville. You said you missed it by a mile during
Just
this
about
tornado
a mile,
that rolled through.
which is close.
You had no damage at all?
We had no damage at all. We have a lot of friends who were in the middle of it, and it's heartbreaking to see. 5 Points and Main Street. But I'll tell you, man, it's been this amazing thing to watch how the community comes together. As if we needed reminding that Nashville's a great city full of heart, just kind hearts. But it was a great reminder of how lucky we are to live in this town.
Did you lose power?
We didn't even lose power.
Wow.
And, even where it hit the worst, you'd see a house down to the foundation, and across the street there would be a house that seemed like it barely got touched. It's just the randomness of the violence of a tornado. It's really hard to come.
Well, Gina Keltner at the Opry, she just got power back yesterday.
Wow.
She said her prayer request had been answered, not as quickly as she had hoped it would be answered. But it said, "Thank you, Lord, we got power." Though she didn't have, I don't think she had damage. But literally, your situation, just a block away,
it's really wild how
very
that
close.
works.
It was just devastation. Charlie Worsham, you've been coming to the studio. I looked it up for a decade.
No way.
Because 2010 was King Billy, right?
That's right.
This is 2020.
Wow.
And he was sitting, we rearranged the studio back in those days, but he was kind of sitting where I am sitting.
That's
for
right.
those of you watching on Circle Television this morning, playing the banjo, if I recall.
That's right.
And your daddy was so excited that you were going to be on WSM with the band you were in. He came all the way from Mississippi to sit in on the show.
He sure did.
And we just saw him recently. We've remained friends ever since.
He was up here. He's got a retirement gig. He's running running tourism in Grenada, Mississippi, which is we're well known for our crappie fishing. And my sweet wife Kristen, who's got a mind for slogans. And I could get a poll going here because some people say crappie fishing, some people say crappie fishing. We want to make T-shirts that say Grenada, Mississippi, crappiest town in America. We'll see. We'll see if it works.
The deeper the south you go, it becomes crappy. I've noticed.
I see.
Other parts of the country, I grew up, it was crappie my whole life. Mm-hmm. But I think it's more of the deep south. And the Cajuns call them sacolé, don't they?
See, now I'm going to call my dad on that and have him work that.
I'm pretty sure it translates when you say sacolé in Cajun country. You're talking about a crappie or a crappie.
I did my research. Just going to take you back. Your first visit with us was on our 15th anniversary show. Wow. April the 24th, 2009. You were part of a show that featured Hall of Famer Sonny James, Sarah Buxton, Whitey Schaefer, and King Billy, part of the 15th anniversary for Coffee, Country, and Cody. Last April, we celebrated 25.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you and pretty wife Kristen doing that Better Half television show on Circle. What is it? The wife gets the feature? Is that the way it
one
works?
who's not singing, who doesn't usually get the crowd with the applause and all the spotlight, gets the spotlight, and it's pretty special in our case with what she does.
Because you're episode 1.
Well, I think we were. That's right.
Of Better Half on
That's
Circle
right.
TV.
And it couldn't have been a better one to start with because the way we met and what brought her to Nashville was doing nonprofit work with the Community Foundation, which has been a big part of the tornado relief this past week. Mm-hmm. And
as it was flood relief before that?
As it was with flood relief. And so we met at the office there down in Green Hills, and only 11 months later, I'm a little slow sometimes on picking up cues, but she emailed me about hanging out, and we went to Mickey's off of Gallatin Road there and on the east side and sat at the Pac-Man table, and the rest is history. But you get to see.
That's got to be a line in a song.
Well,
sat at
it's
the
a
Pac-Man
line in
table, and the
several
rest
songs.
is history.
Yeah.
That's
I've been
great.
putting Pac-Man table in a lot of songs. It's all dinged up and stuff, and they were going to get rid of it, and we called them, and that was our Christmas present to each other. We have the Pac-Man table for Mickey's. We've been playing a lot of Pac-Man lately.
Hey, play a little guitar for me
All
this
right.
morning before we get to this next break.
This is
Charlie Worsham, if you just joined us.
more or less that first date at Mickey's right here. You walked in straight out of a movie, drop dead and groovy as a 45, spinning some old school Al Green, and every stitch of your Levi denim.
Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Hey, welcome back. It's Coffee, Country, and Cody all over the world. Wherever you are, there we are. At WSMOnline.com, our app download. You go to our website and you type in your zip code where you see the Circle logo, or go to CircleAllAccess.com. Country plays here. You type in your zip, it'll tell you who the Circle television affiliate is in your market area. As we welcome Charlie Worsham back to the studio, and in studio accompanying Charlie and with him later today through CreatiVets, which is available on the web at CreatiVets.org, is founder and executive director Richard Casper. There's no such thing. Larry Gatlin always talks about this with his 90-some-year-old daddy, Curly. There's no such thing as a former Marine.
Nope. Always a Marine.
Once a Marine, always. Maybe a former Army or Coast Guard or Navy or Air Force, but not a Marine.
Yep.
Always
It's
a
true.
Marine. Why is President Bush featured here with a paintbrush in his hand?
It's
on your website.
Yeah,
by the way.
that's a crazy story. When I was in the Marine Corps, right before I went to Fallujah, Iraq, I actually guarded George W. Bush at Camp David. So I was selected for like a very
sweet.
Yeah, it was a pretty sweet gig. But I was up there for 14 months, served at Camp David under President Bush. When I went,
Wait. Do you eat better than the other Marines?
Yes, we definitely did. We had the Navy cooking for us. It was really good.
You really bummed when that gig ended? You go, I'm going where?
Well, that was the thing. I actually had a fight to leave there because when I joined was in 2003 and I wanted to go to war.
Gotcha.
And so I got selected for that duty not knowing it existed. And even though I loved it, they actually offered me to stay up there. And I said, I can't get out of the Marine Corps without serving my country and going to war. So I actually tried to get out of there, which is kind of crazy because most people are trying to stay back. But through that, after being injured in war and coming home and suffering for so long, I started doing art and music. And so when Time reached out and they were like, well, you guarded Bush and then you got injured and now you're doing art. He has started painting veterans who were injured in war. I feel like we should bring you two back together. And so in that Time documentary, they bring us back together. It ends with me and him talking about my first piece of art in his office.
Oh.
That
It's
is so
incredible.
neat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, go to CreatiVets.org. CreatiVets. CreatiVets.org.
He seems like one of those people, much like Bill Clinton had that ability too, regardless of where you fall politically, that he would just be very accessible and just sit down and seem like a very normal person for someone who is not normal
the
at all.
charisma.
Right?
I mean, just the way that he could talk and interact and make you feel like the most comfortable person in the world. My wife got to go with me to there, and he had all the cameras leave and just spent like 5 minutes just with us, and she was just like, I love this man. He's just so awesome.
How were you injured? You mentioned you suffered an injury in combat.
Yeah, so my Humvee was blown up 4 separate times, and so 3 concussions. I tore cartilage in my chest from the overpressure of the bomb. Like it went down my throat, I guess, and expanded my lungs to the point where it tore cartilage. And so after 4 months, I was unable to serve because my brain was too injured. So when I came home, I still had memory issues, but I had really bad speech. Songwriting has actually helped my speech come back because now I'm using so many words all the time, a bigger vocabulary that I could speak better. But when I first came home, it was just a lot of like like my Rolodex was broken, and so songwriting.
You knew it was in there, so you were cognitive. You had it. You just couldn't get it to come out from the motor skills side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And so that was my
similar
big
to a
struggle.
stroke. I would think.
Yeah, I mean,
it affected you the way you hear stroke victims say, I knew what was going on. I just couldn't get it to come out.
Yeah, could not find the words for the life of me for anything. And that's how, before that, I was prom king, class clown. I could do anything in front of anybody.
Yeah.
And now I was injured and I was going to school at this tiny community college, and I was legitimately throwing up before class because I couldn't get up and do speeches. I ended up doing one-on-one speeches with my speech teacher in college because that's how bad my anxieties and depression were. And it wasn't until songwriting and art that changed all of it.
The prize outside of Washburn, Illinois.
Yeah.
Population 1,100.
Yep, I got a key. It's a village. It's not a city. So I got a key to the village last year. So I was super pumped for that.
Listen, and if y'all need some soybeans or corn,
yep,
this is the man to hook you up right here. Charlie Worsham is going to be a part of this writing experience with CreatiVets later today. Can you give us a story without disclosing anything too personal on who he will be writing with?
Yeah, he has a really special write, and I mean, I set it up just for that reason. It's a Vietnam veteran. There's a lot of nonprofits that don't focus too much on the Vietnam veterans, but when you look at the stats, there's 20 suicides a day in the veteran space. 14 of those don't actually seek help, and a big portion of that are actually 50 plus. So there are a lot of Vietnam veterans who maybe their spouses are dying off and they're feeling all alone, and so we try to pull them in. But I had the opportunity to speak at the governor's mansion in January, and there's a lady who came up to me afterwards and said her dad's a Vietnam veteran, and she wants to know his story because she knows he was injured, and he just won't give it up. And I said, well, I'm going to try to get your dad out here so you can finally hear his story. And so that's the veteran that we have coming out and writing with Charlie. So it should be pretty amazing because we'll go tomorrow to the Ruckus Room, and we're going to fully record all these songs, and she's going to be able to be there while we record his song and sing it. So it's going to be a magical experience.
And more at CreatiVets.org. CreatiVets.org to find out what we're talking about. Charlie Worsham, play and sing something that you have written along the way that's special to you.
I will. I'm going to sing a song about my mama. Every word about this in this song is true.
Because your mother was a teacher?
She is a retired teacher who also has this great second act of her career. She's working with Project Lead the Way. It's a national nonprofit, and they bring STEM education, especially into rural communities. They partner with local businesses because what do the local businesses get out of this? They get their workforce right there in their backyard.
Gotcha.
And she's just crushing it, as it would be expected, anybody that knows her, and it's fun to see.
But when she taught, as I recall, this song was born out of the fact that she loved to travel internationally.
That's right.
And you got to see the world as a result.
That's right. She grew up in a lower-income household in Mississippi, of all places, the last person you think would go travel the world. But she grew up with the dream of seeing the world, and she believes in travel as education. And so I always got to tag along with the classes. They were usually high school students, and I might be 9, 10, 11 years old. But by golly, I'm going to go see the Parthenon too, And I did.
And not the one on West End, by the way.
Yeah, that's
not
right.
that one. The real one.
The original. Mama always had a camera and a Ziploc full of film. The queen of the Kodachrome was the coin of the realm. She never missed a practice.
Good.
No matter how many times I hear it, it makes me emotional. I'm welling up over here. That is Charlie Worsham, The Other Side of the Lens, live on Coffee Country and Cody, 650 AM WSM. Quickly, when did Vince Gill and Marty Stewart become aware of you as an artist?
Oh, gosh. I think for Vince, when I made the most awkward voicemail recording of all time, I was making my first album, and some folks that were managing me had connections with both Marty and Vince. And they reached out on my behalf, and in Vince's case, I was given a number to call, and they said, he might not pick up, but he'll call you back, So I spent about 3 days prepping for this voicemail. I was going to leave, and I was like, what can I do and say that'll make him instantly become my best friend and know that we have to hang out? And I thought I would reference Lester Roadhog Moran and the Cadillac Cowboys. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that message is long deleted. Good blackmail.
It's like psyching yourself up to ask a girl out for the first time, isn't it?
It was the hero equivalent of that. Yeah.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Thanks for listening to our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Our program director at WSM Radio is J. Patrick Tittle. Our digital producer is Haley Hall. Marketing and promotions director is Amanda Cannon. And I'm Charlie Matos. If you like what you've heard, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help new people find the show.